Hi, today we are going to learn how to use the process builder, which is a tool provided by the Raimme platform, and it can be used to model business processes without actually doing any coding. So let's start with our business case. Let's say we have an application that manages customers and orders, and we want to add some custom behavior to this application. Let's say every time an order is created, we want to create a task for a shop manager to handle this order, but we don't want to do any coding to achieve this goal. We just want to model it using our business process tool. And so let's get going. Here we have our app. We have the list of orders. You can drill down to the details of every order. You can create a new order. Let's create an order with amount 300. The order has been created, and now we want to create a process that every time when an order is created, creates a task and assigns it to a manager. So let's go to our setup panel, and we have multiple options here, but what we are interested in right now are the business processes. So let's open this item and let's open a process builder. And here we can create a new process, a new business process that will handle the action of creating a new order and creating a task for this order. So let's start by giving a name to this process. Let's call it new order handling, and let's save it as draft. So now we want the process to be triggered every time an order is created, and we have a lot of options here in the toolbar on the left side of the screen, and we create a record create option, which is an action that is fired every time any record in the system is created. Let's call this action new order created, and if we click this action in the right hand panel, we have a list of options for this action, and we want to trigger this action for just one type of record. We want it to be triggered only when an order is created. So let's select order, and now when an order is created, we want to create a task for a user. So let's select the create task action. Let's drag and drop it to our workflow builder, and let's connect the two actions. So now every time an order is created, the create task action will be triggered. Let's call this action create a task for manager. Okay, but we need to let the action know what kind of task it should create. So when we click on the gears icon, we can see the arguments that this action takes to be fired and the return result that it returns. So as we can see, you need to specify the content of the task, which is a string, a text content. You have to specify an assignee, which is a person to whom this task will be assigned, and obviously you need to specify some kind of title for this task. So let's open this action, and when an order is created, it is returned by the new order created action, and it's a record which has data type sales order. So now the sales order has some fields, and one of the fields on the sales order type is order number. So we want to extract this order number and set it as the title of the new task. So let's do this. Let's create a field value action, and let's call it get order number, and we need to pass some record to this action. So this will be the sales order that has been created. So we just drag and drop it, and as we can see, now when the new order action is fired, the result, the newly created order, will be passed to the get order number action. And we also need to specify the name of the field to be extracted from this sales order. So here in the right hand tab, we just type the field name, which is number, field and number, and we save it. And now this action actually retrieves the order number and returns it as a value. So now we want to assign this value to the title of the task, and we have assigned it. Let's close it to make the diagram look more clear. Okay, let's add a transition between the new order action and the get order number action. And now we also want to extract the name of the user to whom the task will be assigned. We don't have this user anywhere here in the flow. We want to query this user. So let's get another action to our diagram, query unique record action, and here we actually select a user, select manager, and let's say in our system we have a user that is called a manager, and he belongs to a group called managers. So we just type a query that selects ID from user where ID in select child user ID from user group assignment where parent group name is managers. Okay, I will explain this query. In our system we have users and we have user groups, and we also have user group assignments, which is an object that associates each user with user groups to which this user belongs. So we want to find all user group assignments of users who are assigned to a group called managers, and we want to take one user that belongs to the group of managers. And if we save this query, we can see that now the query unique action returns a user object, and we just assign this user object to the user parameter of the create task action. So when we take a look at the action now, it has a user assigned and it has the title assigned. The link icon here shows that these arguments have input value assigned, but the content of the task is not specified yet. And we can specify it by using some query, but we can also do this by just typing literal text. And we'll do this. Let's click on this action and let's specify attributes for this action. So the attribute that we are missing is content. Let's type content, and the value is new task created. This will be the content of the new task, and we save it. Okay, so now we have all the values for the create task for manager action uh, created, and we can just add a transition between the select manager operation and the create task manager operation. And now we will save the process. It has been saved, and we don't want it to be a draft anymore because it's finished and we want to trigger it. So let's uncheck the draft checkbox and make it active. And we also want to make it triggerable. If we make it triggerable, this means that it will be triggered every time a new order is created. If we don't make it triggerable, it will not be fired. So let's make it triggerable, and we are expecting some errors to pop up. Yes, starting action has input values, but the process does not. What does it mean? It means that this action that is a starting point for the whole process needs to receive a record object as an input parameter. But the whole process here does not have any inputs. So this is actually very simple to achieve. We just take this input parameter and drag it to the process input parameters and call it record. So now the whole process has an input parameter called record, and this input parameter will be assigned to the new order created action. So let's save it again. Yes, this time it's successful, and we have our process defined. So let's see it in action. Let's see whether a task is actually created for a new order. We will go back to our app. Let's open our app, and here we have a list of orders. So let's create a new order. Let's give it a amount of 2000. Let's save the new order. The new order has been saved, but how can we see whether a task has been created for the user? Let's see the bell icon here, and here we have some tasks created, and as you can see, task number order 18 has been created, and this order that we have here is actually order number 18. So a new task for a new order has been created. If we want to create another task just to make sure that a task for it is also created, let's go back to the order list and add another order with the amount 3000. Let's save it. It has been saved, and when we click the bell icon, we can see that the task with the name order 19 has been created. And this is how it works. You can define your own actions using the builder, and you can actually do a lot of stuff without doing any coding. You just drag and drop the actions and the process works. Let's go back to our process definition, and the process was called new order handling. Let's open it in the builder, and here it is. And you have a lot of actions here to be used, and actually you can also take this whole process and embed it in another process. So you can build a large structure made of smaller processes and really build extensive logic, business logic for handling your data by defining smaller pieces and then putting them all together. If we want to embed this process in another process, we have to mark it as callable. When a process is callable, this means that it can be embedded in another process. So let's make this process callable. Let's save it. Okay. Let's go back to our process list and open Process Builder to create a new process. And here, if we scroll down the menu, we can see that the list of processes available to use now contains a new order handling process that we have just created. So we can just take this order and embed it. And as we can see, it takes one record as an input parameter. It doesn't return any arguments, any results, because we haven't defined any. But we can just go ahead and combine it with other actions and build on top of this more business logic. Also, you have standard actions here that you can use, and you also have custom actions. And custom actions is something that you can define on your own. You can write your own Java logic and implement new actions that you can later embed in the process. I will just show it to you right now. To show it, I will go to the code editor that we have on the Raimme platform. It's an online IDE that you can use to edit your Java code. And here I have prepared a class that implements a business action. It's a regular Java class, no magic here. You just annotate it with business action, and this means that it's a business action that can be used in a process builder. So we want to have an action that sends email to a user, and we want it to have 3 or 4 input parameters. Naturally, a user, a recipient for the email. So let's create a private variable called recipient, a subject, and content. And so when this action is called, we need to have methods, setter methods called associated with each parameter, and they have to be annotated by input. So we have 3 input parameters: recipient, subject, and content. And this action returns some status of the task, whether the email has been created or not. So we just have to implement the execute method, which does some logic for us. Let's leave it empty for now, but you can do any logic you want here. This is an action called send email, so it would send an email to some user, but let's leave it empty for now, and let's just save it. It's being saved. It has been saved successfully. So now let's go back to our process builder and see whether we can use this action. The action is not here, so I will just refresh the process. I have refreshed it, and yeah, here we go. As you can see, the send email action has appeared here. Let's drag and drop it to our process. Let's take a look at the arguments and return values. And yeah, the values that we have defined, subject, content, and recipient, are here, and the action returns status. So you can use this new action that we have created. You can take the process that we have created and put them all together and build more business logic. So this is a great tool for both developers and business analysts, because even business analysts who don't have any coding skills can build a simple process here without actually defining the pieces, but just giving an overall view of a process that they want to implement. And then a developer takes a look at this process and implements the pieces and brings the process to life. So it's a great tool for cooperation between business analysts and developers. It makes the implementation of business logic very simple and very clear, and actually for simple tasks that don't require any complicated business logic, you don't have to do any coding. You can just bring it to action, to life, by building the process, and developers can focus on implementing the pieces and on implementing complicated tasks and more complicated business logic. So if you are willing to get to know the process builder or the whole Raimme platform, I encourage you to visit www.raimme.com. You can register a free environment there. It's a totally free cloud environment where you can play, create simple apps, and use them commercially. You can also drop a comment on our YouTube website, and we will definitely help you with all the stuff that you need to get your business processes running.